In our video today, we will be discussing two-step equations. Before we start solving equations, we need to be familiar with a couple of rules. Our first rule applies to the numbers that are not part of a product or quotient with the variable in the equation. We're going to be using addition or subtraction to move these numbers. The second rule applies to numbers that are part of a product or quotient with the variable. And to move those, we're going to be using multiplication or division. Let's look at our example 1. We have 10 equals m divided by 4 plus 2. If we look at our first rule, it says that we are going to be moving the number that is not next to the variable by using either subtraction or addition. And to determine which one we're going to have to use, we'll have to look at our problem. I see here that I have a 2. It is not part of a product or quotient with m, so we're going to be moving the 2 first, and it's being added right now. So the opposite of adding will be subtracting, just like we did with our one-step equations. After subtracting, my 2's will cancel on the right side, and on the left side, 10 minus 2 will be 8. On the right side, I have the quotient left over. That will be m divided by 4. Our next step in blue says that we will have to move the number next to the variable now. So this is the next one we're moving, and we're going to be moving that by multiplying or dividing depending on what we have in our problem. In our problem, I see that we have division. So we're going to do the opposite of that and multiply. Both sides are multiplied by 4. Our 4's will cancel on the right side, leaving us only with m. On the left side, 4 times 8 is 32. So for our first example problem, solving for m, we get the number 32. Let's look at example 2. With example 2, we have 6a plus 2 equals negative 8. Our first rule says to move the number that is not next to the variable first. In this example, it's 2. 2 is being added, so to do the opposite of add, we will subtract. The 2's on the left side will cancel, and we'll have 6a is equal to 8 minus 6, since both of these are, negative 8 minus 2, since both of these are negative, then that means we're going to be adding them, and we will have a negative 10. The second step says that we will need to be moving the number next to the variable by either multiplication or division. Since 6a is a product, we will do the opposite and divide, and both sides are divided by 6. After this, it's a matter of making sure everything is reduced as possible. My 6's will divide out to be 1, leaving me with 1a. And negative 10 over 6, both of these are divisible by 2. So to reduce this fraction, I'll divide both by 2. Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. Negative 5/3 is as simplified as it gets, and so a equals negative 5 over 3 is my answer. Let's look at example 3. This may not look like a two-step equation to begin with, but if you will notice, our b has a negative 1 coefficient right here. Since b is negative, this becomes a two-step problem because we are always wanting our variable to be positive. So the first rule says move the number that is not next to the variable, and by that we are talking about 6. Even though we cannot see this 1, there is an invisible 1 here. So we're going to be moving the 6 that's not attached to the variable by doing the opposite. The opposite of addition is subtraction. So I will subtract 6 from both sides. That makes the 6's cancel on the left, and we have a negative b equals 5. Since b is not positive, we're going to have to get rid of that negative. And like I said before, we have a 1 in front of here. Even though it wasn't visible to begin with, that is going to be negative 1b. And since that's a product, we will do the opposite of that and divide. Both sides will be divided by negative 1. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 will turn into positive 1. So we have 1b equals 5 divided by negative 1 is negative 5. Since b is by itself and b is positive, we have solved our problem and we can stop. So our answer for example 3 will be b equals negative 5. That answer will conclude our video on two-step equations.